Hi, welcome to You Time with Synne. The purpose of You Time is to help you make some space in your life for you so that you can become the best person you can be to the other people in your life. So, what I wanted to focus today's podcast on is the importance of goals. This would be taking some time to sit down and reflect and focus on where you would like to see yourself in the future. This could be your retirement. This could be 10 years from now. This could be 5 years from now, 1 year, 1 week. It could be tomorrow. I was hoping that this podcast would be the very first one of 2019, but it didn't turn out that way. The start of a new year is a great time to set out for new, fresh goals and to focus on your future. But there is no wrong time to lay out a roadmap for what you want your future to look like. It could be at the beginning of a new month or at the beginning of a new year. Sometimes I like to set goals for myself on my birthday, but it can start really at any time, and it doesn't always have to be on a Monday. Any high-performance motivational coach, fitness trainer, guidance counselor, teacher, partner, parent will all tell you that it's important to have goals. But why are they so important? Well, there's a number of reasons for that. Goals cause forward momentum. When you have your eye on something in the future, you naturally progress in moving in that direction. Goals can also help you narrow your focus so that you can work towards specific things that you want. Goals can help you tackle things that seem totally insurmountable. Goals help to make us feel empowered, and goals can help us keep accountable. Think about one thing that you want to change in your life. Start there. Visualize what that will look like. Do you see yourself in your new life or at your goal weight? Or do you see yourself sitting on that beach as the retired person, walking hand in hand? Get really specific. Close your eyes. Picture it. Write it down. Think about all the details. There's a lot of science that says that the best way to set goals are to use what are called SMART goals, and that's an acronym. SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and a time bound. So what does an undefined goal look like? An undefined goal looks like, I want to retire someday. That is way too broad. You have to be way more specific. I want to retire at 65 with $200,000 in my 401k. That's specific. You can measure your progress by checking your finances. Is it achievable? Well, maybe it's not achievable if you are 60 without a 401k, but if you're 40 and you work with an advisor, there's plenty of help to get you there. Is it relevant? Well, if retirement with financial security is a top priority for you and it is time bound, well then yes, it's X number of years until 65. Miss Rachel Hollis, who you've often heard me talk about, host of the Rise podcast and fabulous author of Girl, Wash Your Face, she did a recent podcast where she questioned the timeline component of goal setting. I liked one of the things that she really said. She said that the timeline is almost giving us permission to give up on a goal because it hasn't happened yet. An example for me is that I recently lost 75 pounds of weight with Weight Watchers, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. But, I had originally thought that I wanted to do that in a year. Weight Watchers guidelines say that people can expect to lose 1 to 2 pounds within a week. And, did I get frustrated along the way? Absolutely. But I decided it was going to take as long as it was going to take, and I wasn't going to give up. And I feel like, to Rachel's point, that if you're making progress to your goal, you shouldn't beat yourself up because it takes a little bit longer to get you there. Especially, if you decide that you want to go back to school and, become a nurse, and you're managing a job, or you're managing kids or taking care of other people, and you say you want to get this done in 2 years, but life happens, kids get sick, you don't have the financial aid that you were hoping for, maybe you have to drag it out longer, but there's nothing set in stone that says that you have to complete that degree in 2 years. Time is relevant. It does, however, give you some boundaries to kind of help you focus. Because if you get in the time set of saying, oh, this is going to happen someday, odds are you're never going to really act on it. So how do you measure your goals? It could be simple as, if you're working on that goal of retirement, putting some pennies in a jar. You can move things over when you've accomplished them. You can make check boxes on a calendar. You can look at quarterly financial statements. There's any number of ways that you can take a pause and take a pulse and buckle down. Sometimes you have to assess where you are and say, nope, you know what? I'm only putting $100 away in my savings account. I'm never going to be able to, save up for that trip to Hawaii next month. Either I need to be putting more money aside, or Hawaii is going to have to wait for a couple years. And goals can never be too big or too small. But if it is a big goal, I highly recommend setting mini goals. If your goal is wanting to retire at 65 and you still have a year until open enrollment and you're not able to open your 401k, spend some time reading a book on retirement planning. Talk to a financial advisor, and then open your 401k and set benchmarks along the way. You can also partner up with someone who has a similar goal and sit down over coffee or check in with each other over text or email and see how they're making progress on their goal. Having someone with a like-minded goal gives us an accountability partner, and that can go a long way in achieving goals. And you know what is great? Give yourself a reward for your progress. I'm not saying to go, on an extravagant vacation that's counterintuitive to your goal of retiring at 65, but do something special. Once you've, saved a certain amount of money, take yourself out for a nice meal, or maybe buy yourself a nice planner to keep track of all of those financial documents. So back to my example of Weight Watchers. I definitely wanted to be healthy. I knew I was overweight. I hadn't gotten on a scale in a long time. I know that my clothes didn't fit me and that I was hiding in stretchy clothes, or I thought I was hiding in stretchy clothes and baggy sweaters. I wasn't really fooling anyone. I was kind of just lying to myself. And then, I had enough is enough. And my goal was to be healthy, but it had to be more specific. I wanted to lose 65 pounds in a year, and I needed to look at the tools and resources that were out there. So I had success with Weight Watchers at other periods of my life. I'm someone who can become tremendously goal-oriented, and I've never really had problems reaching my goal. But once I'm there, I have trouble maintaining a lifestyle. So using my example of Weight Watchers, I knew they had a lot of great tools, a lot of great tracking tools, support groups, coaches, all kinds of tools I could pick from my toolbox. And, having the support groups definitely helped me make that selection, because it took some of my internal accountability and made it external. So I got on the scale and I saw the damage that had been done, and I made the decision to commit. 65 pounds was a lot of weight to lose. So I set myself mini goals at 5-pound markers for the first 25 pounds, and then at every 10 pounds after that. And I sat down and I wrote up a list of rewards for myself for when I hit those goals along the way. Trying to remember what my goals were. I think one of them was getting a new wallet. One of them was for a green tea pedicure. After another milestone, I was going to treat myself to X number of dollars in new clothes shopping, and those goals definitely helped me make progress along the way. I measured my progress by getting on the scale once a week. Well, that was formally in the meetings. I definitely hopped on the scale a few times at home. But I would, check in with myself and see about how my progress was going. The scale was my data, and it was giving me feedback. And if I was up, I'd look back at the week and say, yep, I did drink too much wine this week, and maybe I didn't exercise, maybe I didn't get enough fruits and vegetables. and I would tune my week and try to make the next week the best week. And, none of this happened overnight. I wanted it to happen in a year. It took me 19 months. And, as I said before, the general Weight Watchers guidelines is that people lose 1 to 2 pounds a week if they're following the program. And I did the math, and for me, it averaged 0.8 pounds a week. I didn't give up. There were times, it's a lifestyle. It's not a diet. And for me, this is a journey that's going to be going on forever. This goal does not have a finish line. Its definition is just changing. But I realized that I lost 0.8 pounds a week, and I was stuck at a plateau of about 50 pounds lost for 7 months. There were weeks where I miraculously lost 5 pounds. There was a week when I was on vacation that I gained 8 pounds. And then all of a sudden my plateau broke and I really buckled down and the rest of the weight came off. And now I am below my official goal and close to what I want to be as my ultimate goal. And it feels really great. And, my other commitment besides tracking my food and tracking my water was exercising 3 times a week. And I found a program that I really love and I stick to it. For the most part, there's always exceptions. Life is full of exceptions, but I check in with myself all the time about my progress. Every day I'm tracking my points on my phone and my activity points, and I am weighing and measuring my food, and I'm prioritizing what I'm going to eat and what I'm not going to eat. And every day I check in, every day. And there are a lot of different tools that I've used along the way to stay motivated. I look at old pictures of when I was feeling pretty terrible about myself, and I think about how I never want to look like that again. I also, at the beginning of my journey, looked at old pictures from when I was feeling healthy and happy, and I focused on those. I had clothes that I wanted to fit into. I visualized how I feel. I followed other people on Weight Watchers social media component, which is called Connect, and I would look at their success and be inspired and want to be like them. I was always looking for people who could share their stories with me and look at how they mapped out their goals and see what I could garner from them. Again, there's all kinds of different tools. I've talked a little bit about this before, both in my vision board podcast and my journaling podcast, about visually representing your goals. Spend time with it, check in with it, surround yourself with it, and, really focus. And as long as your goals are realistic and you stay motivated and they are attainable, I really think that you can make all of your dreams come true. Ask people to check in with you. Ask for accountability partners. Ask for people to give you a hand. Gretchen Rubin, who does her happiness podcast, I'm also a big fan. She came up with a list and came up with a concept a couple of years ago. Actually, I'm not fully sure that it's her idea. She might have borrowed it from someone else, but I'm giving her credit because that's where I heard it. She came up with an idea of having, 18 goals for 2018 and 19 goals for 2019. And I came up with my goals. They're not all, they're not all SMART goals per se. For example, doing yoga with goats is one of mine, as well as planning a trip to Ireland for 2020. But I like to have goals to focus on, even in the doldrums of the winter, having that point in the distance when you're thinking about a getaway or an exciting event or something you want to feel your best for, is really great. And, goals can be applied 360 degrees in your life. It doesn't have to be health and fitness, although those are priorities for me. They could be financial, they could be academic, they could be, parenting wins, they could be reading a book a month. They could be taking on a new home project. It could be taking on a new fitness regiment. It could be, a learn to write program. It could be a Toastmasters. It could be, running a marathon. Imagine waking up one day and saying, I'm going to run a marathon. There are a lot of mini goals set in there. It's, shoes on and 1 mile at a time. So thank you for listening to this episode of You Time on setting goals. I just want to remind people to send in any feedback or ideas for future topics to youtime2019@gmail.com, youtime2019@gmail, and follow me, Synne Wing, at Twitter and Synne Wing on Instagram. I can't wait to hear from you, and I hope that you choose some goals and that you share your progress with me.